Hi guys, welcome. Thank you for sticking with me while I troubleshoot. This is why I need my boy Spam, who used to be my producer back in the day. He's far better at this than I am. Let's see, video. Oh, well, anyway, we had court this week, my father and I. Let me tell you a little about how that went. So, at 8 o'clock in the morning, we show up at our court. It's an initial hearing in which the clerk, the county clerk here in Milwaukee, needs to be able to decide whether or not the state has sufficient evidence to move forward with the case. So what happens is we wait pretty much the full docket of cases that exist. So let's see what we had. There was an individual who had killed a man who was a drug dealer so that they could steal his money. There was a man who'd attempted to kill a man. There was a woman who had committed armed robbery. There was a man who'd committed sexual assault. There was a young kid who had stolen a car and led police on a merry chase through the city of Milwaukee the wrong way down a one-way street. So that's kind of the tone of people that we were surrounded by, and then they call the Mailer family, my father and I, who are there because we had torn down a swastika mural. And to say that that was kind of ridiculous in the wake of what we had just watched for the 2 hours prior, where the state presented evidence against murderers, rapists, and thieves, well, fine, it is what it is, right? We get to the place where they call the police officers who booked my father and I. They were extremely apologetic about having to be there and testify. But at the same time, the assistant district attorney, Brittany Kachingway, who identifies as being half Jewish, she has a father of color and a mother who is Jewish, and she's from New York, says that she doesn't want to be here either, and that she was forced into taking this case. I don't understand why she doesn't just half-ass it. You know, that's always an option. In a world where so many people have decided to just do their jobs poorly, you know, she's welcome to do that. But I guess they feel committed because, you know, public servants and all. So, they give testimony that they booked my father and I. The police go through kind of the whole situation. The county clerk decides to be a total puss and not willing to really do anything that rocks the boat. My attorney, Michael Levin, is brilliant. This means something to him. He is aggressive. He is thorough. He is laser focused on the idea that the sack of human shit who put this billboard of a Nazi swastika intertwined with a Star of David, he filed a false police report saying that we had torn down a painting, something that had been one of a kind, up on the side of his building, when in fact what he had up on the side of his building was not a $16,000 mural, but a printing of a PDF or a PNG that he had, and in no way represented $16,000, which would make it not a felony but a misdemeanor. He called Mr. Atta to the stand. That's the guy that's said sack of human shit. Atta immediately pissed himself and found a way to not have to get up on the stand. Counselor Kachingway objected to him having to testify on his own behalf, and the clerk, again, wanting not to have to make waves, chose to allow it to pass and say that this will happen when we get to trial. And that's fine. I think that in front of a judge who has a little more authority and is a little less politically motivated, it's time that that person hears this case, right? I'm all about that. It's time for us to see a judge. Important point of note, however, is that they wanted to add an issue to our case, which had not been previously on the docket, and that was the assistant district attorney wanted to claim that I had violated my no contact order with Ihsan Atta. Background to that. When I first met Ihsan Atta at our very first hearing, I told him that I thought he was a bitch, and that though he enjoyed saying many terrible, bigoted things on the internet, I couldn't help but notice his complete lack of any form of bravery, courage, or spine when actually standing there next to one of the people that he likes to rant about. I then asked him to take a selfie with me. I won't pretend to you that I wasn't antagonizing him. I was certainly antagonizing him. But what I wasn't doing was threatening him. I asked to take a selfie with him, and he ran off to the assistant district attorney and immediately complained that he was being threatened. Subsequently, my father and I would be presented with a no contact order. That means that we are not allowed to talk to Ihsan Atta, nor go to one of his buildings or search for him in any way. And we intended to, we of course intend to honor that. However, at the last hearing, he was walking by me, and I turned to one of my attorneys who handles my non-criminal work, and I said to him, "That guy is such a bitch." And Ihsan went running to one of the representatives for the DA and complained, "He called me a bitch." You know, by the way, prove to me that you're a bitch more than whining about something I said to one of my attorneys and calling you a bitch. But whatever. So, he would like to say that I violated my no contact order, and that would change my bond from an appearance bond, meaning once I show up in court, I'm all good, to a bond where I have to pay $500 to not have to go to jail while I wait for the next court appearance. Now, this is endemic of his behavior. If you, I don't know whether or not it's a sound method of defense, but I would love to see him on the stand have to answer for the fact that he is called for my father and I to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. That means criminal damage, destruction of property, that's 3.5 years in prison, $10,000 fine, that he thinks that that's a reasonable, that is a reasonable thing to do to a father and a 74-year-old man. And what I think that demonstrates more than anything is, yeah, he wants to hurt Jewish people. That's his only goal. That's all he's wanted from the beginning, is to be hurtful and damaging to the Jewish community. So why, in God's name, is the city and county of Milwaukee facilitating that by taking him in any way seriously? I just don't know. But, again, I'm not a civil servant, so I can't really speak to that. I'm more of a chaotic good person rather than a lawful good. Yeah. So that was my week in court. It went as pretty much as planned. We'll be back on the 30th of the month before the judge, and we'll see how that goes. You can continue to get updates from me if you go and follow me on Instagram. That is at ZeeMehler on Instagram. I tend to put up as much as I can there. Let's see. Still trying to get this running. I want to thank you all for tuning in to listen to me rant about shit that I need to get off my chest. And I don't know about you guys. I feel terrible. Not for any specific reason, but mostly because the weather in Milwaukee is fluctuating between extremes, highs and lows, and snowing and not snowing, and raining and not raining, and just it's all over the place. And my soft, shitty body feels every crack and crease in it. So there's that, and then there's the emotional part of where I am really, I cannot figure out how I feel about the ceasefire. I just can't. I am so sick. I'm sick to death of hearing stuff about how Israel's an aggressive monster of a state. Today, so we have a ceasefire. We're getting our people back after a year of being tortured and abused in Gaza. And the thing that the Washington Post, whose motto was, if I remember correctly, democracy dies in darkness, or some such bullshit like that, reported that one is that Netanyahu was trying to stall out the peace accords or ceasefire, as if he's not just trying to make sure that we get our people back. And the other thing is that the death toll in Gaza is more than likely 40% greater than it had been previously reported, which I don't fully understand, because as it had been previously reported, the death toll had been exaggerated tremendously by the Gaza Health Ministry. So, I don't know. I'm sick. I am sick to death of that reportage. I cannot deal with the bullshit that is published by seemingly journalistically integrous, and that's in quotes, newspapers like the Washington Post and the New York Times, who at inappropriate times are constantly publishing articles that are critical of Israel and in no way representative of actual news. And in the meantime, no one's talking about the fact that, for the very first time, humanitarian organizations like the Red Cross will be meeting these hostages. And essentially all they're doing is Ubering them from point A to point B. What was the other article today? Today was, Israel's not allowing UN aid organizations in. Well, yeah. Remember what happened the last time? UNRWA. It's almost like this is what going nuts feels like. Where you know a certain thing to be true, and you know that everyone else knows it to be true. Or should. And then what you get is a bunch of people who tell you that you're insane and what you think is right is not. I don't know how to deal with that anymore. What's up, kiddo?
Good night.
Good night, kiddo.
Love you.
Love you too. Something is not right, and I can't seem to get the video to work. Now, it was working before. So this is the software as it exists on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay? And before I had it working, the first time around, it was taking the video.
Okay. So when did it happen? How did it...
Well, it was when I first started the stream. It's giving me the audio.
Okay.
But it's not giving me the video.
Okay, so I mean,
Right? I'm gonna have to play with it more.
okay.
Here's what it should be like, but it also should be seeing us in one of those. Oh, let me try something.
Are you guys able to hear us?
Well,
See us?
I don't believe they can see us, right? I see here. See, here's the audio.
Yeah, desktop audio. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
Right? Ooh, wait, I fell on. This might...
Oh,
Uh,
wait.
there it goes.
There, yeah. There we go. You did it.
Did I, though?
I think.
Because oh, there it is. And then you do this, and you stretch it out to where you want it to be. You don't have to do that on this thing, kiddo.
I like it.
Okay. It's just super weird. Ah. What's the chance that I've been doing this the whole time and nothing has been happening? And I just have 29 people. Before it was 40. We had 40 people who were...
Oh, but just, can I?
Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
just, hold on, okay.
No.
What are you dragging?
Well, I'm trying to drag the image,
Hold on, okay, so...
the stream.
Yeah, okay, select... How do I select this specific thing? Because it's... Oh,
Oh, there you go. You got it.
There!
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Hey, guys. I think you can finally see us, which is a big deal for us, that it finally works.
You're welcome, Father.
Thank you, son. That's what happens nowadays. I am forced to have a 12-year-old do my troubleshooting. By the way,
Welcome to the world.
son, I want to tell you something. You know, they've been making a big deal about the fact that I used a hammer and an axe to tear down this this mural. It was not, by the way, an axe. It was a log splitter. There's a difference.
Okay.
But did you think about that at all before you bought me an axe for my birthday? Because in theory...
I mean... okay, how much trouble would you be in if I said yes?
I wouldn't be, because it's just a strange coincidence. It's just funny.
Yeah, it was a strange coincidence.
Because now...
Also, if people are making a big deal out of it, what else were you going to use?
A pry bar. All it took was a pry bar. It was just vinyl.
You mean a crowbar?
Yeah, except smaller and dinkier. Meaning, like, a crowbar is a very large...
I know what a crowbar
Right, so
is.
a pry bar generally
like-
is flat instead of, like, rounded. A crowbar has, like, a...
Okay, so it's just like a metal stick.
It's like a flat wedge with one curved end and one straight kind of thing.
Alright, cool. Well,
You go to bed?
yeah.
All right, night,
Night.
kiddo. Love you.
Have any more problems, I can deal with it.
Yeah. This is my life now.
Deal with it!
Okay, now that I'm not distracted by that, one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about today was what the intent is for this program. I'm going to try and do this weekly, and there's a couple of things I'd really like to do with it. One is, I want to be talking to you guys. Those of you that follow us, those of you that listen to us, those of you that believe that what Beitar is doing is right, that we're supporting Jews who don't want to be victimized anymore. I want to talk to you guys. And I want to discuss what's going on in the cities you're from, in the college campuses you've been on, and the different ways in which you, the organizations around you, are combating anti-Semitism throughout the country. I want to call out the work of organizations that are doing amazing things. I want to end Jew hatred being one of the ones I owe massive kudos to. They have come out in a big way for me. They send out action items where they ask people to call and write in to the mayor's office, the DA's office, and we've seen a lot of success as a result of their work. And every week they send out updates that tell you and their people what it is that we've campaigned towards, right? So I'm on their WhatsApp group. I'll pull it up. And I'm on the End Jew Hatred Action Items Group 3. There are a number of these groups, and they will throughout the day send updates on things that need to be dealt with. Colleges that are bringing in anti-Semitic speakers. When the Grammys did that bullshit with Gal Gadot, where she couldn't wear her yellow hostage pin, but I want to say Guy Ritchie, but I know that was not who it was. Guy Pearce could wear his Hamas target pin. They set up a format so that you can click. It gives you all the emails that you need to write to. It gives you the phone numbers, and it empowers you to be able to very quickly and very effectively show that you are opposed to the behavior of the organization, the college, the whatever it is that we are trying to campaign against.
Do you have a problem with that?
No, I'm good with it, son. It's totally not weird. So End Jew Hatred, very, very grateful for what you guys are out there doing. All day, every day. In so many different and nuanced ways, and every week I appreciate that you send out an update that shows us the effectiveness of the things that we've been writing about or sending emails about, the stuff that you're working to get us to respond to. You're showing us the tangible effect that those of us that are on those groups and writing in have. And I really encourage all of you guys to find End Jew Hatred's WhatsApp groups and to sign up to be part of them, so that you also can help to write in and campaign against the things that we are seeing as a whole society of Jews that is wrong with what's going on around the country and the world. So I will try every week to get myself together a little more than I did today. It's been a long week. And I'll have the list of things that they accomplished to let you know, because you deserve to know about it. I'll tell you about what it is that Beitar's seeing. As we continue to collect Jews from around the country and world who are part of the resistance and don't want to see this wave of anti-Semitism continue, we get more and more people who have stories to tell, and I'd like for them to be able to share their stories with you. So I will bring them on the show, and if you have stories to share, please write in, message us. Again, on Instagram, at ZEEMEHLER on Instagram. Hit me up. I'll get you on the show. Here's a cool thing I did this week. I was with a group. It's called Hamsa. Hamsa operates here in Milwaukee, and it's a group of Jews who have tirelessly, every weekend, every Sunday, they go to a different coffee shop, and they engage people about their misconceptions around the state of Israel and the war in Gaza. And they grit their teeth and work on winning hearts and minds, and they do it brilliantly, and they do it with quite a bit of style. And I got to their very first, my very first Hamsa event was one that I got to this weekend. At of all places, a Egyptian Muslim coffee shop called Rochambeau. And there they engaged the Socialist Democrats of Milwaukee, who were there because they were working on the campaign for alderman by their candidate, Alex, whatever his name is. And it was talking to a brick wall. It really was. At one point you're like, you guys are socialists. You should love the state of Israel. Just love it. Every bit of it. It's a socialist paradise. And no, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear history. They don't want to hear the economics. They don't want to hear any of the reality of the situation. They want to push an apartheid agenda. They want to push this agenda that there's a genocide going on. All these buzzwords that they're using incorrectly. That's what they're into. So, but still, these guys, every week, they go out there and they engage these fuckers and try their best to change their minds. And in doing so, they represent our people with a modicum of strength and resilience, which I think is important, right? They don't back down from the conversation. They are not cowed by any of the accusations made by the people who engage them. They show an external and an internal strength, and I think they really deserve to be acknowledged. Now, today, the Milwaukee Jewish Chronicle, the newspaper in town that had in the past refused to cover my situation, finally decided that they had always wanted to cover our situation, and what are we talking about? They can't wait to talk to us. So they were talking to me, and I clued them in about Homs. I talked to them a little about this organization, and it's the first time they'd heard of it. It was the very first time that the Jewish newspaper in a city of 25,000 Jews had heard that every week for a year, a group of them had gone out to talk to people and try and counter some of the negative behavior and attitudes. So hopefully they'll be doing a piece on them, and that made me think about the idea that I'd like to try and address. So the stories of that those of you out there see of people like that, people who in their own ways, and they can be small little ways, they can be big ways, they can be anything that they do, whether it's you run a bake sale to try and bring them home. Like we have a group here, Run for Their Lives, every week. They jog through a different neighborhood with holding signs and banners and trying to rally support for release the hostages. Every week. Doesn't matter whether it's cold out, doesn't matter whether it's raining, they go. And it doesn't matter whether that neighborhood is friendly or hostile, they go. I want those people to get the credit that they're due for the work that they do. There's a lot of ways we've been fighting this over the past year, and I think those of us that aren't connected to multi-million-dollar press organizations like a federation is, or the ADL, or God knows, I think that they deserve to have their stories told. So I look to you. This is all about what it is that you guys the stories that you guys can bring to us, so that this program, and I'm sure others like it, can amplify the message and tell the stories of the strong, empowered Jews throughout the country who are trying to combat what we've all been seeing and so disheartened by. What else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I would like to also try and address, this is also crazy, I hadn't even thought about this until this one YouTube editor I was meeting with this week said something. Which is, he was talking to me about having done a piece on the black, they call them the Black Hebrews. You see them sometimes in New York. Any of you who live in New York, you know who I'm talking about. The Black Hebrews. They're the dudes who kind of dress up like they're temple era Kohanim, and they stand on the street and they preach. So when I was in YU and then living in New York, they were mostly located, or at least they would go out most around Macy's, right? They would be in Herald Square. And without fail, they would see myself and my friends, and they would yell something about Jews or us not being authentic Jews or whatever, and we would always be like, God bless, guys. Because there was a time I didn't look like a white Rastafarian. I used to, as the normal old little velvet yarmulke and the whole deal. So I was telling that story to this producer who did this long piece on this big YouTube piece on the Black Hebrews. And I said, oh yeah, I know those guys. They used to holler at us whenever we'd walk by them in Herald Square. And he wasn't Jewish, right? He's just a Milwaukeean. And he said, have you always just kind of blew off the fact that, people will holler stuff at you because you're Jewish? And it was like the first time in my life where I kind of sat back and went, yeah, I do kind of just, I just assume whatever. And I got used to a place where I expected to be yelled at in public by people who are just bigoted or, and anti-Semitic. And he's like, that's crazy, right? And I went, it is crazy, but that's the mentality because, thousands of years of oppression. It'll get to you. So I would like to try and have that conversation with those of you who have experienced that. What are the ways in which you've seen these kind of, I think what they now call it microaggressions, but I hate that term because that marginalizes the aggression part. I remember a friend of mine, her grandfather told me that they used to, if you were Jewish in the South, in like the Atlanta, Birmingham, Alabama kind of area, and you went to a hospital, they would write the word swedge on your chart if you were Jewish. That's Jews spelled backwards, and so that they would alert the staff that you were a Jew. When my mother was growing up here in Milwaukee, there was a place that had a pool and a tennis court, and no Jews were allowed in it. And that was up until the 1980s. It was like that. So I want to start thinking about that. I want to begin to consider the reality of what it has been like to face down this country Jewishly and deal with its inherent issues around bigotry. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for the show over time. This is really kind of a test run, and I thank 55 of you for sticking with me while I ramble at you. I wish there was some way for the stream chat to actually work, because I'd love to hear what it is you have to say. Let's see. Yeah, I have no ability to see what it is you guys are saying, unfortunately. But I hope to. I'd like user engagement was always, or viewer engagement or listener engagement was always the thing I liked. I liked it when people called in. No, that just lets me go live again. Not even pull up your info. Yeah, I have to play with this a little bit. I would like to hear feedback, what it is you'd like to hear and see over the course of the next number of these. So what I'll do is I'll figure out a date and a time to do it. Probably Thursday nights, I think, will be best. I'll start pulling in guests. We'll start collecting your stories. I'll have something a little less rambling and a little more focused. Like I said, this has been a killer week. We've done half a dozen interviews, half a dozen meetings, court date, lawyer meetings, and that's before I get to what I'm actually supposed to be doing in terms of work, taking care of my elderly parents and seeing to the well-being of my 12-year-old son. So it's a lot. Okay. I think that's about it. I think that's as good. There's 60 of you though, and I hate to just give it up when there are like 70 people listening. I just wish I could hear what it is you had to say. Does anyone, if anyone has the capacity, let's see. If any of you follow me on Instagram, again, my Instagram is at ZEEMEHLER, Zmailer. Please hit me up like right now on Instagram. I want to hear from you. I want to try and take calls, and I want to test it. So let's see how it goes. One of you has to be a follower on Instagram. Come on. Gotta be.
With what investigators say was caught.
Nope. Nope. I can't see. Let's see if I can pull up your analytics in real time, because I really would like to know who you are. I guess I can't do it until I turn off the stream. Ah, well. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm going to leave it then. Guys, thank you for sticking with me through this unfocused, rambling test drive of a radio show as I get back to it and figure out what I'm doing with it. I will hopefully see you here week in and week out, and what I want from you guys now is reach out to me, reach out to Beitar. Give us your stories. Tell us who you are. If you'd like to be on, we want to talk to you. That's the idea. We want to hear more from you guys, the Jewish resistance around the country. So until next week, have a good job.